I can't believe this needs to be said, but Jesus was not white. I know some of you will say Jesus wasn't anything because Jesus never existed. Save it for the comments. But even the fictional character of Jesus would not have been white. We know that because, in theory, he was a Jew from the Middle East roughly 2,000 years ago when, believe it or not, there just weren't a lot of white people flying into Nazareth. And it's not like Bethlehem is a city in Sweden. And yet Eric Metaxas, a Christian author, a supposed public intellectual, and a guy who works with the right-wing think tank at Liberty University, said on Twitter Monday that Jesus was white. He didn't just pull that out of nowhere. He was actually trying to make the argument that white privilege isn't a real thing, and that it's absurd for the United Methodist Church to try and educate their members about it. His argument was that Jesus was white, and Jesus was without sin, therefore he couldn't possibly have white privilege, and therefore, I guess, racism is a hoax. Checkmate, everyone. Vote Trump. MAGA. Look, white privilege is real. That's not even a bad thing. It's just something you should be aware of if you have it. But anyway, that's a very different video. Let's just say it's ignorant to pretend it doesn't exist. And it's really dumb to say it doesn't exist because Jesus was white and suggesting he had white privilege is blasphemy. So why? Why would anyone think Jesus is white? The simple answer is that a lot of popular paintings depict Jesus as white, including this very famous picture called Head of Christ by Warner E. Salmon. Other pictures show Jesus with blonde hair and blue eyes, and a six-pack. Always a six-pack. He was a carpenter, but he was built, if you know what I mean. But those are paintings. They're not pictures. There's no documentary with him on camera. There's no Jesus DNA to send to 23andMe. The Bible doesn't even have any descriptions of what Jesus looked like. Americans and Europeans usually paint him white because it makes him look more like them. And guess what? If you go to other countries, you may see their own cultural depictions of Jesus in which he is very much not white. Santa works the same way. He's only white in our culture, not because drawings of him are meant to be historically accurate. If anything, Jesus looked more like me than Eric Metaxas. That's not even a joke. Just last week, a Dutch photographer went viral after he used artificial intelligence to create realistic paintings of people whose images we don't have, like the Statue of Liberty if she were a real woman. Very clever. This is his depiction of Jesus. It's not real either, but it's definitely more realistic. Good luck finding an image like that in most U.S. churches. And you know what? We can blame churches for some of this misinformation. It's not that pastors are giving sermons in which they say Jesus was white, but they don't say he wasn't either. They don't teach that possibility in Sunday school. And maybe that's because if they put up an image of Jesus who's not white, some people in the congregation might have this visceral, angry reaction. They might say, oh, you're making some kind of political statement. But pastors would be doing their churches a favor if they put up different images of Jesus instead of pretending there's one default version. If anything, I would think that would reinforce the idea that it's what Jesus did and what he stood for and what he was a victim of that matters in Christianity, not what he looked like. But hey, what do I know? Just an atheist over here. As for Metaxas, as I'm making this video, I haven't seen a response from him just yet, but I suspect he'll eventually respond by pretending he was joking and saying everyone else was just too dumb to understand. And then maybe he'll talk about how he's being canceled when he's really just being criticized. And then he'll probably spread more lies in defense of Donald Trump. just like Jesus would. All in a day's work for a guy who thinks he's spreading the gospel, but who really should be on the payroll for an atheist group, given how much damage he does to Christianity. Now, who wants to explain to Eric that Jesus was also a socialist?